ones.
Yeah.
This is Marissa Moon. Say hello.
Hi!
And last time I had Marissa on, we talked about Moldavite and...
Yeah.
What did we talk about?
Vampires.
Moldavite and vampires we talked about last time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get her on this time because I wanted to talk about her specifically and what she does, because first of all I think it's a really interesting subject. It's something that is becoming more prominent in my life, and that is the psychic abilities. I know you don't like that term, but people out there will understand what I mean when I say psychic abilities. But what would you say that actually means?
I would call it intuition, and I don't like the word psychic because it puts people on a pedestal, like, and it has such a specific stigma to it, like only certain people can do this, like, but we all have this ability, like we can all do it. And intuition, I feel like, makes more sense because like we all have some sense of intuition, and the more you connect to it, the more you realize that you have that this intuition is like, it's really, really strong, that you can communicate to people with it, like you can do so much with it. And I just have tuned in so much that now I do I speak to my guides, my spirit guides. I've seen like different, like I do it mainly with Akashic Records because I've done Akashic Records training, and now I do like Akashic Records readings, which is very specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've had an Akashic Records reading with Marissa, and it was first experience for me of that. I've had psychic readings before. There's a bit of a difference though.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that, but the main reason I'm bringing Marissa on is because my intuition, since I got this Moldavite pendant here, has really risen a lot, to the point where, and I'd say it's actually the biggest change in my life has been since I've been wearing Moldavite, is my intuition has just gone through the roof, and I feel like I can read people really, really well. It's like they can't hide from me anymore. Not that they were trying to hide before, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's when there's a person there speaking to me, I have this sixth sense, I guess is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's the feeling that you're not telling the truth, or I can see the fear that you're maybe trying to hide when you're talking to me. You're trying to hide something from me, or that's how I generally feel with it. And it does tie in with the vampire thing, because I also feel like we both have kind of experienced someone who we think is in the, who is maybe an energetic vampire.
Also, side note, but like, you go back to the first video and Tim did not believe in vampires at all. Like we watch it and he's just like, okay, sure, whatever. And I was like, just wait and see, just wait. And now we're here, living proof, and Tim completely believes it. So yeah, I mean, I think the Moldavite really helps like increase your intuition, but again, like we all have it inside of us. Like you don't necessarily need Moldavite, but it's going to amplify it like so quickly. And I think also being in a high vibrational place like Bali, and there's certain places around the world that have this, will also amplify it.
Yeah, we're in Bali right now. This is Ubud. This is the spiritual center of Bali as well. The energies are strong here for sure, but Moldavite is an enhancer, so it's just enhancing your own energies really, and using the energies around you as well.
Yeah.
I think that's why. Well, we're not the only people who experience this intuition thing, by the way. Another couple of friends that we know have also experienced getting Moldavite, and also their intuition has really increased massively. So we'll talk about the vampire thing in another video. I think that's a separate video for that one. But I want to talk today about kind of this whole idea of intuition and what it actually means. And as you've already said, we've all got this in us already, but some of us are more attuned to it and other of us are still shut off from it. And I think I'm just starting to come into mine now, but you have started to come into this for a while now.
Yeah.
Not that long actually, but when did it actually all start for you? It was the vampire thing actually was what one of the big starting points, wasn't it, when you got Moldavite?
It kind of was a big starting point, but I started receiving messages before then, and it's kind of hard to say because it really wasn't like a when did it start, because again we always like had it. It's just like when I really allowed it to when I really started to pay attention to it and started receiving messages from my guides was probably when I was Reiki attuned, and I started recognizing that there was messages, and then I took Akashic Records training to make sense of what the messages were, because I knew at that point, like, I'm seeing numbers, I'm getting body sensation. I knew at that point I was getting messages. And then the Moldavite, like, I mean that was kind of around the same time, and it just started amplifying, and I think being in Bali really amplified it too. But I also got this Moldavite ring at the same time. So
show the ring, because
oh yeah,
the video we did on the vampires, you actually lost your ring.
Yeah,
the same day. Yeah, so the ring came back
like 2 weeks later.
Not lost it though, disappeared, right?
Disappeared.
Which is what Moldavite can do.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I remember leaving it on my dresser, and then it disappeared. And then I did laundry like 2 weeks later, and I had a feeling that it was in the clothes, which again is like just intuition. And so I was going through everything before I just took it to the laundromat, and I was shaking every piece because I just had a feeling. And then I shook it, and then it like just popped out. So I don't know.
But you did have an experience where the Moldavite moved, right?
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about this now?
Yeah, let's talk about it now.
Oh, wow. So probably like a few weeks after that, I was going to sleep, and I took my ring off, because at night I do this sometimes where I'll just like take it off because it's like too tight. And I had taken it off and put it on the center of my nightstand, and I was still watching TV for a little bit on my laptop, like probably for some time. Like I'd been off in the nightstand for some time, and then I shut off my light, and I was laying in bed for some time too, like for another 15 minutes. And I remember thinking, like, why can't I sleep? I usually will turn off my light and go right to sleep, but for some reason I couldn't sleep. And then I heard like a pop sound, like something fell on the ground, and I was so confused. And I was just like sitting there at night, like, what could that have been? Like, really, what of all things could it have been? Because I was thinking of all the things that could have fell. And I was just thinking, like, I just thought, like, I think it's my Moldavite ring, and I swear to God, if this thing fell or like popped off, then I'm gonna freak out, because I left it on the center of my nightstand. There's nothing else on my nightstand except like my lamp, and there's no reason that it would have fell. And it wasn't even like something will fall, like you can tell when it's like weighing and it falls down, and how it kind of sounds like poof poof, I don't know. But this sounded like a pop, and then it just like bounced, and you heard the bounce, like. And so I was just really confused, and I was just saying, like, if I turn on my light and my ring is gone, I'm gonna freak out. Like, I'm really gonna freak out. And so I turn on my light and it's gone. Like, sure enough, it's gone. And I was just like, what the hell? Again. And so I looked underneath my bed, and it was there. Like, it bounced there, but there is no way it could have happened. And so I knew, like, okay, Moldavite's moving. Like, I get it. And I put it back on my finger because I'm like, I don't want to lose you again. And then I started receiving a lot of messages, really, really strong messages from my guides. And so then for about an hour more or longer, like, I couldn't sleep because everything was coming in so strongly. And I think it was a combination of the Moldavite and also my guides, because if something like that happens, like they're trying to get your attention for some reason. And so I was just receiving a lot. And yeah, it was just an interesting night.
See, Moldavite does disappear. There you go. That's the proof right there.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yeah. I mean, I'm proof that it's come back twice, so I don't know. I just really like sleep.
So let's go back to your story about how you started with your intuition becoming particularly sharp.
Yeah, I think that kind of started here in Bali, to be honest. So I did Akashic Records training, and the Akashic Records, I've said so much, it's basically like the library of, it's like the library of everything that's ever existed, like a record of it. Past, present, multiple futures, like everything. And it's even so much more than that. And so the reading is basically, I open up, like, because each soul has this, and I open up that person's, like, Akashic Records, which is their book, and I can dive into their past lives, their you know, possible futures, or I can just receive messages right now, what they're going through. And so when I open them, I get messages from that person's guides, and they just right away tell me, or like show me through images, body sensations, and even like just like words too. Like sometimes they'll repeat words that I've heard before, or like play songs, or yeah, so words too, but mainly through visions. And it all has to do with exactly where they're at the moment. They rarely go into the past or the future, because we're always living in the now, and it's based on the now. They're wanting to see you move forward, but they will. There at times they do go back into the past if it has to do with something right now in this moment. So it does happen, and so I wanted to make sense of the messages I was getting. One of the main messages I was getting was to quit my job and go to Bali, and I was just like, how is this gonna happen? Like, how am I gonna? It's kind of like, no, maybe I shouldn't compare this to this, but it's kind of like someone tells you should do this, and you're just like, what? So I just wanted to make sense that I wasn't like, this wasn't just like a fantasy dream. So I took this training and I did it. I kept practicing for myself and with friends, and then I was here and it really amplified. And then it's just somehow like the readings found me. I go into a lot more detail on my podcast, so if you're interested, you can go to my podcast, Soul Guide Podcast. It's available like basically everywhere, and I have a whole episode on the Akashic Records, and just more, but I won't bore you on that.
And an interview with me as well.
Oh yeah, there's we talk an interview on intuition, and then even law of attraction.
Law of attraction as well, intuition, yeah. Got 2 on there.
Yeah. So yeah, so the readings started happening here, where people were coming to me for readings. So that's basically what I do now. It's been really interesting, and it's been so amplified here that I've begun channeling like my guides. So I open up records, and I can tell, I mean, you can tell, I feel like people can tell when it's me speaking versus when it's my guides. It's slightly different voice, but the words are just I don't know, it just kind of makes sense. Like, it's just like I wouldn't have normally put the words together, and but it's still very, very new, the channeling. Like, I don't go out and just be like, I channel, because I'm still, it kind of feels like it's so new right now, where I come in so much and they're like, stop, get out. They're like, just let us take the mic and take over, and I just keep on, it's my mind where I keep on like overthinking. I just want to like try and select the words, and they're like, you don't need to think, like we know exactly where all the words are in your body to use what we want to convey. Just shush and we'll go. Yeah, so it's still pretty new, but that's happened, and it's just getting stronger and stronger each time. And yeah,
I had one of those readings with Marissa in the middle of a cafe.
I'm taking the interview over. How did you like it?
It was amazing. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had, and it was very accurate, and just proof that it is coming from source. It's all up there. All the information's already there, and it's channeling through Marissa. You know, it's not stuff that Marissa knows about. It's coming from there. It's just passing through. So it's
Tim
almost.
will always ask me questions and be like, so then what about this? And what about this? And I'll be like, I don't know, Tim. Like, you want me to tap in every single time? Like, ask yourself.
Well, that's another thing I was going to talk about, because you said ask your own guides, basically. Ask my guides.
Yeah, because he was asking me so much. And
yeah, because I don't know how to get in touch with my guides. I've never done that before. But
I think that's just empowering too, when you're like constantly looking for someone. So I wanted you to find that empowerment within yourself, because you do have it. Like we all do, again.
Well, I was going to say, at the end of your Akashic readings, you do an upgrade.
Yeah,
right?
my guide, or
the guides do.
Yeah, do an upgrade. Because whatever messages that they've brought up, it's almost like you're seeing things from a higher perspective, and you're like, oh, and then you have so much compassion for like what you do and why you're there in your journey, and it's like a release, and I physically feel the release. And then if I feel like there's more information, like nothing has or not enough has released yet, then we go in deeper. And so there's this release afterwards. So now that you've released, they bring in like these upgrades, or yeah, I like to call them upgrades, and they come in with like body sensations, kind of like a guided meditation almost, but you feel it. At least like most people feel it, you know, from what
I felt it like having a Reiki session, basically. Like energy is coming through you, and you feel it like almost instantly once it starts. And it's like Marissa is feeding through the instructions on what is happening from them. So they're saying things like, we are now placing our hands on your shoulders.
Yeah. It's kind of the same. Sometimes it's a little different, or they'll do something new, but yeah. And
then when they say that, and you actually feel like someone is moving energy through your body, like from the shoulders and downwards, and they would do that on different parts of the body. This is in the middle of a cafe, by the way. So, you know,
it happens sometimes in the middle of a cafe.
So it was a bit weird for me personally, but good weird, because it felt amazing. Like I say, it felt like a Reiki session. If you ever had one of those, like
what did you feel like after? Because I feel like most people, I feel like you're a little bit different when you receive healing, but most people, it's like you release so much, and then you bring in all this like higher energy. It's an embodiment of your higher self. Like everyone that I've heard back, and when I feel it too, because I'm feeling everything you're feeling, it feels like your higher self. Like you feel so in line, so aligned, like almost like you're high, just really, really good. And I feel like people said, like I feel like on cloud 9, like just high. And then from then on, after the upgrades, it's just like the rest of your day, you're so connected. You've embodied your higher self. You receive messages. You like, it's easy to get signs, like, because you're just so connected and you just know things. You know, you're not in your mind questioning things. It's just like, you know. And such a good, like, I feel like high feeling. I don't know how to explain that, but like, how did you feel? Because I feel like when you receive healing, it's always a lot for you.
Yeah, I feel really spaced out.
Yeah.
And like almost like I smoked a joint, and I'm just like, it's mellow and it's nice,
yeah,
but it's also confusing. Like I don't feel myself.
Yeah, there's always like, you need to ground, which I feel like more people are a little bit more grounded, and I don't know, because you always say that you don't feel like, you feel jittery.
Yeah,
and like
I feel jittery, and like I feel like I've been shaken up almost. Like all the energy's been like totally shaken up within me, and I'm just a bit like, whoa.
I think that's a you thing. So just so you know, that doesn't happen. This happens to Tim every single time he does some kind of Reiki or healing session, I feel like, because what this means, it's just like there's not a release that has happened, so it's kind of like both energies. Like you really need to ground to allow whatever is coming through to release, so then what comes in like can make its way in, but there's like that high contrast of higher energy coming in, high frequency energy coming in, and then like the old is resisting to release, so you feel this like the two thing. But most people, they release. I mean, most people sometimes not. Sometimes I had people like just cry after reading, and that's like a beautiful release, or you know, whichever way they feel called to release. And some people already released during the reading, but most people feel really, really good afterwards, like a high sensation.
Yeah, mine tends to come later though.
Okay,
like
good.
in the days afterward, I'll feel a bit. There'll be some releasing, some negative stuff will come up, negative thoughts will come up. I might, I don't know, generally lose some energy for a couple of days and not want to leave the house and just be on my own.
Yeah.
And so stuff gets brought up, but that's releasing, right?
Yeah, that's true. Everyone has a different way of going through it, and different time of how long it's going to take to release.
But after that, there'll be like a few days where I am on a high then, and I feel great.
Nice.
So when I was getting the guides placing their hands on me, etc. after that, and we talked about how I should try calling my own guides in. Yeah, I wanted to see if I could get in touch with my guides, and I tried to do that. And I think what I did was I asked a couple of questions basically that I was looking for answers to. And I know when you ask questions to your guides, what do you feel? Sensations and hear a voice, or?
Mainly images come, sometimes body sensations. So the main body sensations I'll get are like my throat, like I feel like my throat kind of tells me a lot. I also feel like my heart, or like, you know, different body sensations. But if my throat closes up, that's usually like a no, or holding back something, or not wanting to speak up. If I feel it open, then it's like a yes. But then my heart too, like I'll feel my whole body, and it comes in differently sometimes. So they're just communicating it, and then like my body is taking it in and being like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but they're sending a frequency, like literally energy, and it's like, how are you allowing it to come into your body? So it will come in body sensations, and sometimes I'll just hear words, like simple words, or when I'm really in the flow of it, I'll hear like a quote, or they like to be funny and do this a lot, that when I'm talking to someone specifically and like doing a reading for them, then they will play back the words that they've told me, because it's like take your own advice. Like, so they've done that for a few friends when I'm doing readings for them, and I'll just be like channeling different things and whatever, and it's coming, and I get this understanding, and I'm like trying to explain it and put it into words, because really what it is that they're communicating, like they're bringing in a frequency, and it's your duty, or like responsibility, I guess, not really responsibility, but it's up to you to bring this high frequency energy into the physical, into the earth planes, like. And so sometimes it's hard to communicate. Like I call myself, well, I say that I am Akashic translator, because it's literally like I'm translating, and sometimes there's not specific words that interpret it, you know. And it's like kind of bringing this frequency and bringing it into not only the earth, but like into a person, be like, this. So yeah, sometimes it comes in like a lot, and I'm like, I know what I want to say, but I don't have the words to say it. But then it like comes through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I feel nothing. I'm getting nothing. But that's not totally true actually. But in terms of the questions that I asked, I did get answers, but I couldn't discern whether it was just me giving myself the answers, or whether they're actually coming through. And because I don't hear a voice or anything, I don't get any physical sensations, nothing like that. I know you think that that is them coming through me.
It's not think, it's no.
Okay.
That's the biggest like thing though, is that people will downplay themselves, or like disempower themselves, because they think that they're supposed to hear someone else's voice, or a specific voice, but it comes in as your own voice. So if you just like ask yourself, like, you know, the voice that you have talking in your head, like most of the times that's your mind, but there's that soft, quiet voice when you like that comes in very quiet, that's like, you should start a podcast, or like, you should go to Bali. Like, it's always the one that comes with love, and then, you know, a second later you're like, no, that's silly, I can't do that, like I'm not gonna, like, that's your mind, you know. And you can feel the difference. But the more you start listening to the other one, the one that's like encouraging and just like sending these like nuggets of ideas, that's like your guides. And the more you're like, all right, I'm gonna listen to you, then you're kind of opening that back up. So it does come in as your voice, because it's coming in through your body. So of course it's gonna come in your voice. I mean, there are people who hear it in a different voice. So it's literally, we're all different. So like, you can't expect to be like someone else. But it does, that's the one thing, it comes in as your voice. It comes in like almost like a thought. And if you just ask a question and allow yourself to just be open to the answer and see what comes through, it's always the first thing. It's quiet, and then the second it's like, no, I was overthinking that. No, I'm making this up. That's always your mind, like, and so that's really the key.
I say to people all the time, for example, when I'm coaching them, they'll say, I'll tell them always to listen to the first thing that comes in when they're trying to work something out. It's the first thing that comes in, that's the intuition. After that, it's generally their overthinking and their head comes into play, and they're trying to talk themselves out of it, or they're looking for more evidence, and but the first thing, if you go with that, that's normally the truth.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was trying to connect with my guides, the answers were coming back so quickly.
That's what happens.
It's just like it's not even like you're pausing. There's a pause there, really. Most of the time, it's like
Yeah.
so you're almost having a conversation with yourself, although it's actually with your guides. It feels like you're having a conversation with yourself, but you know the answers already because they're coming straight back at you.
Yeah.
And so I've done that a few times now with some stuff I wanted help with, basically, in my life. And yeah, it's a strange experience, because when you've not had this kind of contact to get this experience, you doubt it, you know. And so I'm still doubting it even now, but I do believe it, you know. I certainly believe in spirit guides, and I certainly believe in intuition.
Which is like so cool to see, because when we first met, it's not that you didn't believe in it, but you just didn't like fully, you were just still questioning it. Like when I was like, oh yeah, like my guides, you're like, tell me about your guides. Like, what is this spirit guides thing? And then you're just like, it's not that I don't believe, I'm open to it, but like, and I was like, okay, I know you don't believe it, like, and now you're just like, no, I do, like, I receive that and I get it, and it's just so cool. I think this is why people love you, is because they see you growing from like really just testing all these things out, and then you're like, whoa, like this is really happening, like guys, it's real. You know. And I feel like that's why like a lot of people can relate to you, because it's not just it's you are real, you're authentic.
Listen to her. And also, you know, when you're getting relayed stuff that she couldn't possibly have known, then you know it's real. You know, you're just like, how? Well, she can't know that. So, and I've had psychic readings before as well, so it's not like I'm totally new to all this. But the whole spirit guide thing I didn't really know about. So it's, for me, it's all an experiment to try and find out more about these things. So I'm open to it. And one of the things actually during that Akashic reading session that came through was that a girl that I know is a twin flame, is my twin flame. And I'm new to that as well. We won't go into that in detail in this video. I have spoken about relationships in another video, so you might want to check that out. I might talk about this in another video in future. But that really was a big kind of aha moment, almost. It's like, this is interesting. And it kind of opened up another world to me, which is very interesting, because again, you couldn't have known that she was my twin flame, but the more I look into it, the more it seems like, oh, this is the real thing, and yes, she is my twin flame. So again, it's just almost collecting proof for me, evidence that all this is connected and all this is real. And I always say to people, and especially people who are learning about the law of attraction as well and aren't sure about that, you're not going to be until you actually start to experiment with these things and give them a try. So if you're interested, go and have an Akashic reading, go and see a psychic. Go and see this one in particular, Marissa Moon, because she's good.
Thank you.
But don't dismiss something until you've actually, too many people are quick to dismiss straight away. It's like, no, it's not real, no, come on.
Also, like, it's not gonna hurt you, honestly. Like, it really, right here, you're at this, well, maybe not you, but someone, for example, who doesn't believe in it, they're at this place where they don't believe in it. And to just be open about it, it's really not gonna hurt you if you just go back to that place, like, as confirmation, no, I didn't believe it. Like, okay, good, so you're in the same spot you were at, you know? But it can open you to other things. Like, it can be like, wow, this is something I never knew. So really, like, it's not going to take away from what you know, from where you are, from where you're already at. It's only going to expand you like a little bit more, you know? Even if it's like, nope, I knew I was right, I knew I shouldn't have believed it, then it's like, see, like, that's just confirmation for you. like it didn't take anything away from you. You were right. Like, so even if that was the case, exactly.
You're wrong if you do think that, but
no, but yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm saying, is like, that's why just being open to things in general are really not gonna hurt. Like, it doesn't have to be with this intuition stuff. It could be with other things. Like being open is really gonna help you. Like, you know, like let's say like I know I'm not gonna like this cake or dessert, but you know, you try it and you're like, no, I knew it, and that's only gonna help you expand and realize like, oh, I was right, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, and it's worked with other things like, so for example, I didn't really have any interest in tarot cards and didn't really get them, and I thought, cards? I don't get this. It just seems like something an old woman would do in a little van and like with a crystal,
little van.
Yeah, with crystal balls and kind of like gypsy
that's like
costume.
the old
Yeah,
type of
it's
tarot.
like
Tarot's like so like different now.
Mhm.
It's so modernized.
Well, I've been looking into that a lot, and it's crazy how accurate it's been for
Yeah,
for a lot of things.
it's just
yeah.
another way of connecting to your guides. It's like you can do it in so many different ways. We can be like, hey, show me, communicate to me what you want to communicate through these images. Just pick the images you want or the cards you want and communicate the message. So it's like another way, and it's kind of like easier, I feel like, because you're just like, then there's a picture of a card and it's like, okay, what are the things that you see from this card and what is it telling you? It's almost like them giving you an alphabet and like pointing to things, you know, versus like doing it yourself and just waiting to receive. Yeah, so I feel like it's so easy. Like,
But I just went on YouTube.
yeah.
Just do that. There's tons of readers on
that
YouTube,
that
and
too.
they were just, the vast majority of them were, and I mean, I saw maybe 40, 50 different ones, because I was like, this is insane, I want to test this out. And they were all saying the same things, they were all picking the same cards out pretty much, and all coming up with the same kind of readings.
Yeah.
I mean, there are slight variations in there, but the gist of it was very, very similar.
Yeah.
And
I think it depends on a reader too. Like some readers don't fit with you, don't listen to it. Like if it doesn't feel like the video is sitting with you, then don't listen to it, because it's probably not meant for you. It's meant for someone else.
Yeah. And one of the big things that really made me stand up and take notice of all of this and like, okay, this is definitely real, there's definitely spirit guides, and we can definitely communicate with them, is, you know, I wasn't 100% sure about whether the voice coming through, because it was just me, it seemed like me. But what really convinced me was when I asked my spirit guides to make me feel love. I said, okay, there's this girl, this twin flame, right? I was asking questions about the twin flame, and then I said, show her. I'm not sure if she really likes me, she really loves me. Show me the love that she feels for me. I want to feel it now. And literally within seconds, it was just like when I had the upgrades with Marissa. I felt the energy start to come through me, but it was an energy of like pure love, basically. And it was just incredible. It went through my whole body, and it just took seconds. Just started to come through, then slowed down through my body, and I just soaked it in for maybe, I don't know, I can't remember how long it was, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. And because it felt so good, you know, it's like I was getting I've never taken heroin, but I imagine that's what they do in the movie show.
I can't see.
So yeah, I was just doing a heroin injection. It was just like literally, and just letting it come through. And I've done that maybe 4 or 5 times now, just to keep testing it really. And every single time it will come through like straight away. You know, and I've had this in meditations before, and I've been meditating for a couple of years now, and occasionally I will feel that, but normally I have to get into a state for 30 minutes or something, and sometimes it'll come and sometimes it won't, and I don't really know why it comes. But this, I just asked for it and it came like instantly. So that's when I know, okay, I am connected to my spirit guides, and this is real. And when you can't deny the physical sensations. I say that with everything, you know, when you actually feel something. It's like with Moldavite, you know, people might doubt Moldavite, but when you feel it, you can't, it's like, well, you know then. So again, it's just experimenting. But yes, intuition basically is what this video is all about. And Moldavite, one of the big things it does for you is it increases your intuition. it will increase to levels where you are able to communicate with spirit, with higher self, source, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to say God. God, and whatever you want to call it. It opens up that connection and opens up your intuition to feel things, feel your reality more, and that's probably the biggest thing that Moldavite's done for me, in particular the last couple of months, since I've got this one, and we've got the other two. I'm going to talk about the other two another time, but there's two more here as well.
You just got those?
Yeah, very recently got these that I've been working with. I'll talk about these in another video. But I wanted to get Marissa on because she knows all about this, and because she's gone through it all already, and she's reached a very high level of intuitiveness. So thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
And where can people get in touch with you again and go to your podcast?
Yeah, so my podcast is Soul Guided podcast. You can like search Soul Guided on iTunes, Google Play, like basically anywhere, honestly. Or you can go to my website, which you'll link that. Yeah, Tim will link it. But it's www.soulguidedpodcast.com. And you can either look into, if you're interested or feel called to doing Akashic reading, only if you feel called, because I don't like to pressure
you feel called
people into it. No, it's really only if it's in alignment. Like I love it. No, only if it's in alignment. You can go to my website, www.soulguidedpodcast.com/upgrade, and I kind of go into details, or you can go on my Instagram at Marissa Moon, MARISSAAMOON, and I have like reviews and highlights, like a little highlight section with reviews and more information on Akashic Record readings. You can reach out to me on there too. I have people book through me on there or through the website, so it's up to you, because I just like talking to people, so I enjoy chatting anyways.
Just do it. We'll talk about the upgrades and stuff in another video.
Oh really?
Actually.
Oh cool.
We'll talk about kind of the after effects of that. We'll do another video on that. Also check out the vampire video, because vampires are real. And we're going to do another video talking about vampires as well soon, so, with Marissa. So yeah, lots of stuff with Marissa coming up. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching.
You.
Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. Timothy Phoenix is the YouTube channel. Timothy
right here.
Yeah, this one. Timothy.Phoenix is my Instagram. So come and follow me and check me out what I'm doing there, here in Bali, in Ubud. And till next time, hasta luego.
You say both of them in Spanish? Hola and hasta luego?
What?
You say both hasta luego and hola? You say both
I
of them
say
in Spanish?
both of them, yeah. I know loads of Spanish.
You know loads of Spanish?
I know all the Spanish.
You should just speak all Spanish.
I'm just the best at I'm the best at Spanish. I'm the best Spanisher.
What is this?
That's what Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
I know all the words.
Oh, that's true.